Welcome to another episode of Survivor to Survivor. This is your girl, MamiSoTrue. Thank you for being here today. I have a beautiful survivor who is ready to share their story, and I hope that you are here, ready to tune in, engage, and listen. You guys, if you're new to my channel, please take a moment, subscribe, like the video if it resonates with you, and please share your comment. I'd love to know what's on your mind about what you're hearing in today's story. So before we begin, I'd love to introduce you guys to our survivor on today's show. Hey, survivor, how are you doing today?
I am great. I am great. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we are so happy to have you here to share your story with us. It's an honor, and I am personally excited to get to meet you and hear what's on your heart. So, I would love to begin with asking you to tell me what led you to wanting to share your story today.
Um, my reason behind this is because I did not realize there were so many people out here going through the same thing
Mm,
that I'm going through. At first, I did not know that it was others. I just thought I chalked it up to, oh, he's just like dot dot dot.
mm,
And I knew nothing about narcissist people or anything. I knew nothing about that. I just all I knew and what I'm gathering is that other people, all they knew at the beginning is that you're stuck on yourself.
mm.
That was the only thing I knew. So I didn't know. I'm thinking, well, you know, he's triggered because he was in the military. He's
Okay.
triggered because this and that. I knew nothing about a narc.
Okay. 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 So this was a spousal relationship that you went through.
No, just a relationship.
Just
Just,
okay. So
boyfriend girlfriend
wait,
relationship.
okay.
I met him years ago.
Okay.
And we didn't date because at the time I was actually seeing someone else, but he caught my eye because we were into the same thing as far as like electronics and blah blah blah.
Okay.
And and 7 years had passed,
Wow. Okay.
and I came back. I came back to the area that I grew up in, and I was out, and he was there, and so we connected, and it was like, oh, okay. I also did a TikTok video of this saying, yeah, I'm thinking this is my person.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh, this is great. Okay. And so let the games begin. Okay.
Yeah. Let the games begin. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did it go at first when you guys now met 7 years later? And obviously within that 7 year time frame, there was no communication, right? Okay.
No.
Okay. So this was like a brand new friendship that started between you
Yeah.
two. So how was it in the beginning?
At the beginning, it was great. I've learned so much about narcissistic people and I mean, it's textbook. It's just so textbook because it's at the beginning it's beautiful. He's taking me out places. We're going on vacations and we're doing this and we're doing that and it was just wonderful, and it was the, I guess, what they call it, love bombing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did everything that your Prince Charming
Oh,
could have
he
done.
was amazing. He was amazing. We had so much in common. We can talk about politics. We can talk about religion. We can just talk. It was easy flowing. We could talk for hours. Didn't need the radio.
Yeah, deep connection. Wow.
Right.
Oh my gosh. How long did that phase last for you guys?
Okay, now looking back, not in it because hindsight's only 50, 2020. So looking back, I would say it started around month 2 or 3 is when things start happening.
Okay.
And it was, little things. It would just be like little arguments. No, let's go back for a second. You know what narcissistic people, what they'll do is that they will poke fun at you in some way. because they're insecure about themselves. So they'll try to make something funny about something about how you look or anything. And now looking back, it's like, you know, you doing it once or twice. Normal people do that. I do that. But when you're constantly doing that one thing, you're trying to get that person to be insecure about themselves. So now they feel like how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you
Wow.
know, and it's like a person who's not a narcissistic person, who's an empathetic person, you know, you I'm the type of person I will wear like mixed match socks. I'll go to work. I'm like, whatever. Hey, my man doesn't work here. I can care less. I don't really wear makeup much, weekends, that kind of thing. So it's like, you can't make me feel insecure. I know who I am,
Uh-huh.
but when you're doing stuff where it's like, oh, poking fun and you keep doing that one thing is like, okay, is it really, am I, but it still is not working with me because like I said, I'm not the type of woman that has to get dressed up to go to the mailbox.
Right.
So back to your question, as far as like month 2 or 3, it was like the little arguments and stuff like that. And then I would, you know, hold my own. And he was like, he'll back off because he didn't know who he was playing with.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
then I got to the point where I was like, I would be the one to back off because I'm like, I don't want to start an argument.
Mm.
No, let's not do that. So let's just
Mm.
keep them happy. And
Yeah.
the one thing they like to say is, I want you to be my peace.
Ah, manipulation at its finest.
Be my peace. Please be my peace.
Oh
And
my God.
and my thing with that is, be my peace means you want me to shut up and not say anything so
Mm.
you can go ahead and run over me.
Yes, I want you to submit to my BS.
Yes.
What that means.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So definitely looking back, there was some red flags, right?
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yes.
any other red flag that stands out early on for you?
Yes. Okay. This is a crazy giveaway for this person. And this is the very beginning of our relationship. He took me to some friend's house. We went to go watch the game. And it was cool. We were having a good time and stuff like that. And we were sitting there on the sofa and he had made this, I guess he thought it was a joke, and it was not a joke to me. And you always overlook certain things. Oh, maybe he was just playing, and you kind of like just throw it in the back burner and stuff like that, instead of being like red flag and like, let me just be out of this right at the beginning. But this was not a joke. Very beginning, very beginning, we have not been intimate anything. And he said something like, he was trying to make like suggestions about us being intimate. And then I was like, I was like, no. And I had said something about maybe my cycle being on or something. And I was like, I don't know why I said that. I was like, no. I was like, no. And besides, I can't anyway. And he was like, you still have 2 hoes.
Oh, okay.
You have 2 other hoes.
Oh, wow.
I was like, red flag,
Definitely.
red flag.
Sexually
Second red.
exploitive, are we?
Yes,
Oh,
like that is
I gotta blow my nose off of this one.
we having a good time. He was like, he knows I like salsa dancing.
Okay.
So he was like, oh my gosh, there's this spot that, they have salsa and stuff like that. He was saying, I was just telling my friends, my lady would love this place. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, have fun, blah, blah, blah. I told you when you get home, whatever. Call me later. And then so he calls me, he's like showing me the club and how everybody's having a good time. Okay, cool, no problem. But then the thing, the comment that he made was when he was driving home, he was like, man, he said there were so many beautiful women in there. He said, oh my gosh, had I came in here a week before, there may not been a me and you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, oh, I had to take a pause at that. And I said, hold on. I said, what? So I said, you know, I said, actually, stop the car, turn around. You can actually go back and get you one
Mm,
of those beautiful ladies and take
mm,
her home, and I can be about my business.
period.
Before I can finish my sentence, he was like, no, 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 but I like
Mm.
I like where I'm at. I like because he realized that you can't play that triangulation.
You're gonna have to pick a side over here, sir.
Exactly. It's a form of triangulation that they do.
Yeah.
Because if they can try to get you intertwined with either somebody else or a bunch of other somebody else's and make you feel a certain way about yourself.
So yeah, they're winning. Yeah, they have to.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about being able to control. Woo! Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other red flags before I move on?
I mean, there's so many.
There
There's
was
so
so
many.
look, trust me, I believe it. I believe it. There, because now you look back and you're like, wow, there was a million red flags.
Yes, there
I
was a
believe.
million red flags, and the other thing is like I always wanted to be around him. I wanted to like I was like staying at his house. I was there so much. Like I just wanted to be around him. And he was like, he wanted to be alone. He just wanted to be alone. And you know, like throughout the week, he just didn't really want any contact. We would just talk on the phone and stuff like that. I mean, now looking back, I'm realizing he was about his business doing other things, probably with other people. Maybe that's one. Part of it is that, you know, he did like to be a loner, I guess, because, you know, he had, you know, that stuff going on as far as being a narc and stuff like that, where it was like the self-doubt,
Self-love.
the loathing of yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and so you just sit there and really not do anything and stuff. But you see that I'm just this type of person that's like, hey, you know, I can put it this way. I'm not to try to talk about myself in any type of way and say that, you know, hey, I'm the life of the party. I'm not gonna say that. But when we used to go places, like let's say we would go to karaoke is my thing. Okay. So if we go to karaoke and I would get dressed up because now I got a new man. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna put on my heels and you know. So when we walk in the door, everybody would turn around and look at us, and he felt like something. Now, mind you, had it been him walking in by himself, ain't
Oh,
nobody turning around. Okay, so and I say that not to be like I'm all that, but I say that with certainty because if we can walk over to the bar and a couple minutes later you ask me, hey, can you walk back to the front door and then walk back over to me? Because see, the thing is, if you want me to walk over to the door and walk back over to you, he likes looking at all the men that's looking at me. And then when I come back over to him, he's like, yay,
wow.
because all the eyes were on me, and the fact that he had his hand out and I take his hand, all the men are like, whoa, she's with him.
Wow.
Pure much.
You see my face? I'm like, wow. Just like that is some delusional fantasy world thinking. Like that is crazy. Okay. All right. Okay. So very interesting. So So, all right, let's go past love bombing phase and let's talk
Okay.
about how things kind of heated up and how you discovered more about him. Um,
Okay.
so you never lived with them, right? You guys were living separately the whole time.
Yes, I never lived with him, but I was there all the time. But I have my own place. He has his own place. Hmm.
But you were drawn to him.
Yes.
So how did it get into the next phase of the relationship?
I would say around July, it was just the constant bickering over nonsense. And it was like, he would try to make it seem as if it was me. I'm like, I'm not even arguing. I don't want to argue. What is he talking about? And he's like, the be my peace crap. And then it was also like, he was always constantly throwing you out of his house.
Oh
It was
God.
always like, get out. I don't want to see you. That kind of thing. And it was like, it would be nothing that big, or he will blow something up because in his head, in his mind, it would be that big. But for people like us, it would be like, okay, I'm not understanding why this is even an argument or even anything to be this upset about. So it was the constant throwing out, and to the point where when I leave your house, and I'm talking about the first time it was during the day, I can't even count how many times it was, but the other times it was like, let's say around midnight or so. So it's like it's late at night. I'm going home. Maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock was the late 2 o'clock was the latest time I went home. And you don't call to see if I got home. You don't call the next day. You
Oh,
know, they love to do that. They love to not call you, and then you end up calling them days later because you're the empathetic one and you worried about them when they didn't even worry about you and your safety and your in my instance, I'm the woman.
yeah.
So it started with that. And then uh we did not date long. So I would say that the stories that I listen to about other people and their situations, they've been in this situation for like 25 years, 15 years and stuff like that. And Yahweh has blessed me to get out so much sooner. A year and a half, I was able to be out of this situation. So it was, for me, that's amazing in itself. But still, it still hurts the same, because you're with this person day in and day out. You're calling them. It's just, and so for us to be in a relationship for only a year and a half, I had decided. I said, well, you know what? We just arguing all the time. I'm not understanding what's going on. So why don't we go see couple counseling?
Mhm.
So it took him a while to go ahead and say that no, actually he agreed to it right away. So then we set up the appointment. We only made it to one session. Typical narc. We
Not
only
surprised.
we only made it to one session. Why is this? Because when we sitting in there, of course they want to act sedate, and they want to act as if, now they got their legs crossed and they have their reading glasses on and they have a book in their hand and they have the fireplace on. So now they're trying to act very smart. And so now the counselor is asking us questions and trying to make us realize how we are with each other. So I'm taking a couple notes in about what she says about me, because he's telling her that I do the tit for tat. And I'm like, I don't do tit for tat. So then she's saying, okay, when he says, well, you're this way, you do these things, da 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 da. I was like, well, hold on a second. You do those things to me. Like, what are you talking about? So they telling me I'm wrong because I make mention of the fact that he does the things that he wants to argue about. I'm like saying, hold on a second, you do that to me. They saying I'm wrong for mentioning that at that moment. They saying that I need to mention this some other time. Okay. Now with me and my ADD, when is that other time coming? Because I can't remember. I have so many other things in my head right now. You're talking about mentioning it some other time. I'm bringing it up now because that's what we're talking about. So, okay, I take a step back and I say, okay, I can do that. I'm going to work on that. Okay, for our relationship, I'll work on that. But then when I start talking about stuff that he does to me and I say, well, he kicks me out in the middle of the night and stuff like that. The counselor looked at him and said, hold on now. That's not right. You understand where she's coming from. She's a lady. You're not supposed to do these kind of things to a lady. How is she supposed to feel secure in a relationship with you when you're doing these types of things? And then he's like, but I apologize. But I apologize. And mind you, narcs do not apologize. They
No.
don't apologize. So in his mind, he thinks he apologized, but he did not. So when it was time for our next session, which our next session was supposed to be about sex and finance, oh, we never made that one.
Okay.
Because the counselor had already read him his rights about what he does wrong in the relationship, and they don't like to take accountability. That's a very big word in this world of ours.
Yeah.
And they don't like to take accountability for their actions. So then when we leave counseling, we were great for a day or two or three. But then he made a comment about our session and he said, the counselor's over there taking your side about ... And I was like, I didn't think it was about sides. I thought it was more about us growing together. And he didn't look at it that way. So when I'm over there trying to set up another session, he was like, I don't think we need, you know. So
Yeah.
it started to snowball. His attitude started getting worse. Another thing that I start noticing, and I just posted on my TikTok account, when they get angry, their eyes turn black.
Yes,
What?
ma'am. A lot of people, more and more people are discovering that. Yeah. Their eyes do turn black. It's almost sometimes their eyes just disappear almost. It's like you see a different spirit, like you see an entity.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You do. Yeah.
I did not know. I knew I used to make jokes about it because I didn't know what I was looking at.
Real. It's scary.
So I would make jokes about it. I was like, "Oh, you were so angry with me. Your eyes turned like ha ha ha." But now looking back, I was like, "Hold on a second." It was almost like his whole face would be totally different. He would look completely different. Like what do they call them? Shape shifters.
Yeah. Shapeshifters, yes.
So he'll look completely different. And then I'm sitting there, I'm just like the calm one. And I'm like, okay, so calm down, calm down. And then he'll go back into his regular face. His eyes will come back. And I'm like, I did not know this was a thing.
It is. That's what made me run. I was like, yeah, you're not a human. I gotta go. No.
Wow.
Yeah, that's scary. Wow. Man, that's why I'm convinced that there's demonic influences behind not just mental health, but narcissist. I mean, you cannot tell me otherwise. I just it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
What I've
Not,
seen and what I've witnessed, the books don't explain it. The,
mm-mm.
the books don't explain it. So for me, it's a spiritual problem more than it is pathological. And that's
Right.
why empaths suffer the way they suffer, because it's like you get pulled into this dark, get pulled into this different realm. And if you don't know who you are, you're going to get pulled in and you're going to get stuck in.
Yes.
Because immediately you lose who you are when you encounter these people. It's like immediately they throw a wool over your eyes.
What it is, I don't know if you know if that's commercial, the sour kids, the candy where they mean to you at first and then all of a sudden they turn out and be nice. It's kind of the same kind of effect, but it's reverse, because with him, it's like he will be so good to me. He, like I said, take me out. We would do things, to quality time. We would do things, and he would buy things for me. Not that I'm asking. He would just, do things for me, and it would be such a beautiful thing. But it was like, in order to take these things, you must go ahead and take the abuse.
Yes.
Because there's no in between. I mean, you can't have half the person. Say, so it's not that, well, I'm going to stay with him to keep the material things, because I always told him, I don't need you. I want you. And that hurt him to his soul, because we didn't talk for weeks after that. Because me saying that I don't need you, a man, I understand that a man, that they want to feel needed. Okay. But the right man, okay, not a not a narcissistic person. You can't make these people feel needed, because it's almost like giving a person, what do you buy a person who has everything?
Right.
So a narc is never happy. They're never happy.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I look back now and I realized I was speaking the language in our relationship, didn't even know what it was. Because I would say, you have me walking on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say, you're never happy. I would be thinking these things. I was like, so if we decided to live together or get married, are you would you be bored with me? I would ask questions like that, because it seemed like if I came over there during the weekend, he's all excited. It would be amazing for him. But if I'm there more than 2 or 3 days, I'm there, let's say I've been there for a week, the fighting will start. And it's not on my part, because I'm not starting fight. I'm doing the same things I did the first part of the week. I'm here for you. Matter of fact, I was doing things around his house to improve his house. So it was like, I was trying to make his world better, make him happy and stuff like that. This because I was thinking of these things. It wasn't that he was asking me. I was doing these things around his house because I wanted to. And it was like, that wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
It started getting to the wind down, getting to the end of the relationship. And I remember I was in my house, he's home, and we're just talking on the phone. I just got off from work. I took my shower. I came into bed. I was getting ready to watch some TV. And so we're having a conversation on the phone, and he starts off by getting upset because he says, I don't clean his house. I
Oh.
said, What? What?" He said, I should start doing things around his house. I don't clean and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I didn't realize Monday through Friday, I work a regular job that I go into when you work from home. I
Mm.
go to a job, you work from home. You work from home. When you take a pause, you need to go ahead and pick up a couple of things, is what I'm thinking. That's one. Two, when my weekend comes, I didn't realize I was Mary Maid. I wasn't driving with my car that said Mary Maid on the side saying, I'm going to clean your house. So, like, I'm not understanding what it is you want from me when I'm already doing stuff in your house for you. I'm not obligated to do anything. I'm not your wife. So if I'm doing things for you, it's because I want to. It's not that you have me on the clock.
Right. Right.
So when stuff like that start happening, when he starts, what narcissistic people like to do as well is they like to go ghost for a couple days and have you worried. You're
Yeah.
frantic. You like, are they okay? Or are they mad at me for some reason? What did I do? And it'll turn your whole world upside down. And it's not you. They're doing that on purpose to knock you down a peg, knock you down a peg because you're so high up on this horse already that they could never reach that bar because they feel so bad about themselves.
Yeah.
And they want to knock you down to where they are. So now, okay, equal yoke. Okay.
Yeah. Now we match. No,
Because
you're
you
on my
can't,
level.
their
No,
energy would never be as high as yours. So they had to knock you down in order for you guys to balance,
that's the only way
you
it was
know?
with them. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I say, I say you cannot bring a narcissistic person up to your energy level. You can't do it because without them trying to hurt you and try to bring you down to their level,
Mhm.
it's going to happen. That's going to happen. One of our last fights, I was normally I get off work early on Fridays. And so I would trip over myself to go to his house. So when I get off work at 3, I am like at his house at 3:26. Okay. I am like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see him, you know? But then you gradually get into this phase where you're like, okay, I can wait a couple more hours. I'm like, let me go run some errands. You know?
I don't want to
So
seem that bad today.
yeah, it's like I'll see him later. I'm gonna still go, but I'll see him later. But it just so happened that that week, I was sick, so I worked from home that week, and then Friday I was supposed to go to his house. Now that was my first day back at work was Friday. Now, mind you, I was sick all week, so my house is a mess. I need to go clean my house. So I told him, but that Friday, I wanted to clean a couple things. Now that I'm better, let me go ahead and like wash some clothes. I have some clothes for over the weekend at his house, clean my house a little bit, and then I'll come over. So I'm not going to be at his house at 3:26. I'm going to be over there a little later.
Right.
So I tell him, I keep the itinerary with him, and I'm like, hey, I'm go home. I'm going to clean up and stuff like that. I'll see you later on tonight. He was like, tonight? I said, well, around like, 5 or 6. So then he was like, okay. So then I go home. I'm washing clothes. It's taking a little longer to, clothes. We're, clean up the house and everything. And so I let him know what's going on. And I say, hey, the clothes are still in the machine. I'm just letting you know it's going to be a little longer. So then he was like, oh, it's no problem. It's no problem at all. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I'm like, I had to go stop by my mom's house for a second. And I was trying to help her with something. And then I go to his house. Now it is like around 8 o'clock. I'm driving on the highway. And in the back of my mind, how I always tell you, I'm always speeding, trying to get to this house. I'm like, I can't be late. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not late for anything. It's not that I'm going to a job interview, I'm going to work or anything. So I'm like, let me slow down. I'm not rushing. I'm not doing that rushing anymore. So I get over to his house. I already know he's mad. I already know because I'm not there at 3:26. So then I go into his house and I'm saying, hey, how you doing? He's got his hand on his temple like he's Malcolm X, and he's just looking at me.
Ready to spaz.
He is just looking at me. And I was like, what? And then he's just looking at me. I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm trying to play it off like, what's
Yeah,
wrong?
because
And then
he.
he was like, he didn't say anything at first. Then a couple minutes go by and he, ah, you're supposed to be over here. Da, 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 and I was like, you do realize we had no plans today. All we were going to do was probably get something to eat and sit here and watch TV for the rest of the night. You know this, right? So then he had nothing to say. I said, there have been plenty of times where now he wants to start another argument. You know, they try to find an argument in anything that you say so they can get something going. So then I said, there's been plenty of times I've come over here and you already went out and grabbed you something to eat. Had that been the case, I would have said, okay, I'll go ahead and get something to eat for myself since I came over here too late. So it's no problem. No problem with me. So he was like, oh, you mentioned that for a reason. You mentioned that for a reason. You trying to say that I try to eat without you. And I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I didn't say that. I said there have been times you went to go grab something to eat. If I know that I'm not coming over here around 3:30, I would tell you and say, hey, go stop. If you're hungry, go stop and get something to eat. I will grab something separately because I don't want to hold you up. That's all I'm saying. So he's wanting to fight. Is already his face is shifting. It's shifting. Okay. And here we go. So he starts to calm down and we go out to eat. We go out to eat. He's still doing the Malcolm X thing while we eating. He's just looking at me. He's just looking at me. So I'm trying to have a conversation, making lighthearted jokes and stuff like that. He's starting to come around a little bit. We leave. We go to a jazz place right next door, listen to some music. I'm having a good time. I'm just listening to the jazz. He's looking like he is morphing. He is livid, and I can see it in his face. And I'm just playing it off. I'm just looking at the jazz. I'm like, hmm. And then so he was like, "You ready to go?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, we can go." So then we leave. We're walking down the street. Now, normally when we walk down the street, he's a gentleman. He doesn't let me walk on the side of the street. He lets me walk on the inside. Not this night. Okay. So I'm like, okay, here we go. It's coming. So we go to the car. He doesn't open my door like he normally does. Okay. I'm cool. I get in the car. I guess he's doing things that he doesn't normally do as a gentleman, quotation marks. I mean, like the air marks.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants me to go ahead and get ramped up. He's trying to bait me.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not opening my door? Why
Right.
you let me walk on this side of the street? I'm not even doing that. So I'm cool. I can open my door. I've been opening my door before he came into my life. So I'm like, I'm good. So I get in the car and he's not talking to me. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't want to talk. So I get on the phone. I'm texting my daughter. I'm texting my uncle. I say, oh wow, this jazz place is nice. You need to come. Da 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 da. And I'm having a good conversation with them. I don't need him to have a conversation. We
Right.
get into the house and I'm just sitting there looking at him. I'm like, what is his problem? So he
Yeah.
looks at me, he says, what? And I'm like, no, nothing. So then what we normally do, we take a shower, then we, hop in the bed and we watch a good movie. We're just having a good night and stuff like that. So this show that we normally watch. We don't want to watch it without each other, or I don't want him to go ahead of me. And I'm like, hey, hold on a second. He knows I have to go take a shower first. So I walk into the kitchen, then I walk out the kitchen. He's laying across the bed watching the show without me. And I said, well, why? He's trying to bait me. He's baiting me.
There
So
we go.
then why would you be watching this show before me? I got to go jump in the shower. He said, I can always go back. And I'm thinking,
Mm.
but I'm like, why would you go ahead of me? That isn't. So I'm like, I don't do anything there. So then I said, you know what? I know it's about to turn into something. So I said, well, I'm going to just go home. I decided for the first time in our relationship, I'm just going to take a stand. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here like I'm the bad kid and I did something wrong. And I've got to sit here and just take this, him sulking. And I'm like, oh, I'm the wrong one. So I'm not doing this tonight. So I'm like, okay, since you want to, I'm thinking since you want to watch this show by yourself, I'm gonna go home. And so he gets livid. He
Mm.
is upset. He was like, yes, I do want to watch this show by myself. And I said, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and go then. So then what does he do? He starts pulling all my clothes out the drawers. Well, then you go and blah, blah, blah. He's going crazy. So I'm trying to calm him down once again. Like, this is the norm. This is the norm for me. I got to try to work him down. And I say, why are you taking it to this level? I didn't say I was leaving you for good. I said I was just going home for the night. We can start again tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. So
Right.
then he just sits there and he's paused because he's like, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, actually, that's exactly what she's saying. But how can he spin it to make it seem like I'm the bad one, I'm the wrong one? How can he spin it where, see, look what she did, So then he bust out screaming, and then he was like, you're so unbothered. You're so unbothered. And so why he's saying that is because he couldn't get me ramped up. He just told on himself. He just
told on himself. He just told he just told you that he's a narcissist.
Yes.
Why can't I get you to react? Why?
He just told on himself.
You are too unbothered. That is deep.
Yes.
That is deep. You're too strong for a narcissist, sis. You are the example of who I be talking about. You're too strong for a narcissist. There was no way the relationship was gonna go any further.
No, it wasn't gonna.
You
it wasn't gonna work
here, and it just was never. It just he can't chase it. He can't match it. He can't follow it. He can't even try to fake it. It just doesn't work like that, man. It just empath and narcissist. It just don't go together. Oh man.
And so with him,
are you so
unbothered?
I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah, you're so unbothered.
I'm gonna remember that all day. I love that one. Ooh, that's a good t-shirt. Woo! You just
I think I might make a hat with that. Unbothered. So everybody will know it's me.
Yeah, unbothered. Like, baby, I'm good. Like you said, I've been opening my own door since before you came. I got it. What else?
Right.
Well, you gonna watch the show without me? Oh, okay. I got TV at home. What else? What else you got?
It's like they want it's not what I had mentioned earlier as far as wanting to feel like I need him. It's not so much that. It's more like they want you to grovel. They want you to be needy. So like if I was one of his, I guess the way he spoke about his ex-girlfriends, they were just trash. So he wants, now you over there dating somebody who's on a higher scale. You don't know how to be. You don't know how to act because you want someone to feel like they need you. Like, okay, I don't have a house of my own. Can I stay with you? So he can say no and turn you away. And then you be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because for a narcissist, is that energy they need to feel, is that power they need to feel, is that driven, that they, what is it? The supply.
Yeah.
They need to feed off of the supply. So is, you got to give them something. And since I don't give him anything, not in that area,
space, yeah,
it doesn't work.
Yeah. It drives him insane. It's like you're killing him.
Right. And okay, let me speak about the big night. The big night is we go to karaoke and we go with a couple of his friends. We having a great night. I don't know what happened. By the end of the night, he went to the bathroom. He came back out. His friends just walked out. They said they were leaving. And mind you, he was drinking like a sailor. Okay. Now, the narcissistic behavior plus drinking, I don't know. I don't think that balanced out too well. So even the bartender, she walks by and she said, is everything okay? she can tell something's off. No one even said anything, but she can tell something's off. So the reason why when he came out the bathroom, he was in a different, when his friends were there, he was having the time of his life. I was over there doing karaoke. He's having the time of his life. His friends said they were getting ready to leave for the night. And he said, I'm going to the bathroom. So I walked over to the DJ and I said, hey, can I sing another song? He was like, yeah, you're next. He said, nobody else is singing. I said, okay, cool. He comes out the bathroom. And then I said, hey, I'm going to do another song. And he was like, oh. And I'm like, what is the problem? I couldn't figure it out. So then I do my song. I'm not really in the mood to even do the song, but I was next. So I'm not even singing like I would normally sing. So I'm like in a mood. He's ready to leave. We walk out. He walks out ahead of me, not holding doors, nothing. Looking like he's just ticked off. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Like, it didn't make any sense. So I'm asking, I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? He is screaming at me in the parking lot. I'm like, I don't get it. He went into the bathroom happy. He came out a totally different person. Do not know what happened. His friends left. I don't know. I have no idea. We get in the car. I keep trying to question him and say, what is wrong? So he drives off where I'm like losing my balance, right? So then I'm continuously trying to ask him the question, what is wrong? What happened? What happened? And so I'm like, what is wrong? That's all I said. He punches me in the chest.
Oh, wow.
So then my first response, I just I took my claws and I across his face. And he turned around and looked at me like a demon. He looked at me and he forgot he was driving. He tried to lunge for me, took his hands off the steering wheel, and lost control of the car. The car was going in and out of both sides of traffic, getting ready to go into a restaurant. And then he got control of the car. I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I could have just
Right.
exactly. And so I was like, okay, I'm trying to think straight. And I was like, his friend that had just left the club, I was like, what's his number? What's his number? I know I had his number. So I'm trying to find his number because I had planned a party for him earlier that year. So, I had a list of his friends and I had their phone numbers. So I'm trying to think, what's his friend's number? What's his friend's number? And I'm like, I can't think straight. All this stuff is happening. So I thought of it and I called him. He didn't pick up right away. So I started texting him. I said, call me back, call me back. So he calls me back and he was like, what's going on? He said, hey, what's going on? I said, I don't know what's going on with your friend, but he's losing his mind. I don't know. Something's not right. Something's not adding up. I said, come to the house right now. So that's where we were heading back to his house. So then he's screaming into the phone, don't come to my house. Don't come to my house. So then his friend, I'm assuming he's on his way to the house. So he's on the way to the house. We're heading back to the house. He's driving like a bat out of hell. We get back to the house. Now, in the garage, my car is parked on the left-hand side facing the street. His car is on the right-hand side facing the street. So he's backing into the garage, okay? So if both of our cars are facing the street, that means when he gets out on the driver's side, he's going to be between the cars, right? Okay, so I'm on the passenger side. So he parks the car. I'm trying to figure out what happened, what's going on with him. So I get out on the passenger side and walk in between the cars. And I'm like, getting ready to ask him what's wrong. He picks me up in the air by my neck. Now,
Oh,
mind you, he's choking me in the air. I am 5'3". He's 6'3". My feet are dangling off the ground, okay? And I have on heels. So I can't get a flow of where the ground is because he has me up in the air. So I start swinging my feet over to him to kick him in the balls. Okay. I got him. So then he let me go of me, but he had me pinned against my car first. And then I kicked him. He lets go of me. I lost my footing because I have on heels. So then when I get my footing back together, I come back over to where he was. That's when he punched me in the head.
Goodness.
So then I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. Then 30 seconds later, my vision's going blurry. I was like, what is going on? What is happening? What's happening? Then I'm seeing blood everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And then in that moment, I'm realizing where he hit me in the head. That's where I'm bleeding from. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm in survival mode. So now I'm trying to pick up anything I can find 2x4s. I am about to hurt
you, boy.
man. And I said, I am going to, and he was like, no. And I'm like, I'm looking around the garage. I am going crazy. So I can't find anything at that moment. So I start smacking the mess out of him. Girl, his face was across the garage. I was like, wow, wow. And he was just, I'm sorry. Because now I keep going. I'm doing it like 20 times. I'm like, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. And because I'm in survival mode, I'm like, what is going on? You put me to this point, right? So then he was like, I'm sorry. Now his high is coming down because he sees the blood, right? But at this point, it's too late because now I am losing it. I am swinging. I am not missing. Every time I'm getting contact with that face, girl, I am not playing with you. So then we get to the door. I see some like 2x4s. I said, oh, I'm about to, I am like, because it was one thing when you just was talking to me a certain way,
But now
but you put your hands on me. This is something different. So then we walk into the house and I said, you were drunk. You were drunk. You were effing drunk. I said, I'm not putting up with this mess. I took all the liquor in the house. I start dumping it down the sinks. You were drunk. You were drunk. I'm dumping it. And then his friend shows up. Blood is all on the left side of my face. I said, I don't know what's going on with your friend. I'm still hyped up because I am bleeding. I still want to go at him. I'm like, I'm running between rooms trying to get him. His friend is trying to hold me back. I'm jumping over sofas like an X-Man. Okay. I am going over, I'm talking about I'm doing flips over sofas trying to get to this man. I'm going from one room to the next, one room to the next. And then I'm like, I just wanted to hurt him because I see myself in the condition I'm in. I'm grabbing face, mouth, everything. His friend's trying to pull me off of him. My hand's getting his eyeball, scratched it out. I'm like, I'm this different person because now you put your hands on me. So, of course, his friend is over there trying to wipe the blood off my face because this is evidence, right? Mm-hmm. He's over there wanting to feed me some sad story. Oh, I don't know why I'm like this. Because I had some bad news that I can have cancer. I can. You weren't thinking about that cancer back at that club when you were having a good time, were you? Yeah. What story are you trying to feed me? Yeah. I'm over there falling for it, right?
I'm bleeding right now.
I'm bleeding. Okay, I'm bleeding. I am falling for this because I want to calm down so bad because of the way I started to react.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to calm down. So I'm like trying to calm down. So we calmed down to the point I still stayed there that night for the next couple days, it was like anytime I closed my eyes, I would see him hitting me, right? And it was like I kind of want to react, right? It's like if he's in front of me, I wanted to be like, um, Mortal Kombat. Like it's like anytime I just looked at him and I closed my eyes, I would see that vision, and it was like I just want to grab his neck, finish him, that kind of thing. And so, and then I just got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore, and then I tried to file a police report, but this is days later. So when I filed the police report, they were trying to tell me that, well, he can come against me. And I was like, he's the one that attacked me. They said because I attacked him afterwards. And I'm like, but it was because of him attacking me and because of me bleeding, I flipped out.
Right.
How is it I can end up in trouble? And it had me in such a shock that I started crying in the police station. I'm like, they could not calm me down. They could not calm me down. And so I was like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding. And so I'm in disbelief about what's happening. A couple weeks go by, and you know how we are as empathetic people, and you love this person so much. And so I'm trying to make anew with this person. And I'm like, we need to go to counseling again. And so we go to the church that we were going to. We went to the apostle, who is a friend of his.
Oh God.
Okay. The apostle is his friend.
Okay. wrong resource.
So then the apostle, we go and sit in a meeting with him to try to talk this over. We didn't talk about the incident at all. The apostle came for me and said that I had daddy issues. How did that happen? What daddy issues do I have? What are you talking about? I know my father.
Where'd you even get that from?
Where did you get that from? You know where he got that from? He got that from him. So he wants to start talking about other topics with him to try to make it seem like it's me. Yeah. So he wants to go ahead and make a story. He wants to build a story around something else that's not even there. I know who my father is. Okay. So what are you talking about? So let's say I didn't know who my father was. Let's say I had no relationship with my father. What does that have anything to do with
him?
With you putting your hands on me?
I'm not looking to be with my daddy. So what do you even, I mean, what does that have to do with what I'm going through with you?
Right.
I just really want to, because
so my whole thing is I tried to do the counseling with him again. We started anew. That was January of this year. And we went from January till June. And then 2 weeks later, we got back together again. And then I couldn't do it anymore because it was like, he's already, see what narcissistic people do also? They do this campaign against you. Right? So now you already fed the church lies about me, not telling them who you are. But of course, you try to make up whatever it is about me. You had to, because now these church people no longer really deal with me. Right? So I'm thinking you must have said something. So my thing is this. We get back together, it's all nice and happy and we're fine and we're going out on the town and we're having a good time. But when we go to church on Sunday, why is it you sitting on the other side of church? So my thing is, you're doing that because you already fed them a bunch of lies. And you will look crazy to be sitting with me in church if you told them that I'm blah, 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 this, that, and the other, dot, dot, dot. I don't know what he could have said.
Mm-hmm.
So if he would have sat with me, they'd been like, well, why is he back with her if he told us that she's this and she's that and blah, blah, blah. So he had to maintain that image still.
Right.
Now, outside of church, we can come back together. So that didn't rub me the right way. And I decided to walk away then. I just had enough.
Yeah, that's wow. That was dang.
So in a year and a half of dealing with this man, I've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. There's been so much. I mean, I've mentioned before with the triangulation and what they try to do. He would have me intertwine with ex-girlfriends and try to say that they're calling him, or the fact that they would still be calling him, and then he will like let me see that, or he will have a friend in his phone, a friend, he says, and the picture of her, when it pops up, when it rings, it would be a picture of her in like some panties or something like that. And it's like, okay, if you're in a relationship with someone, I shouldn't have to tell you how to be in a relationship with a person. So, for me, when I'm serious about a person, I drop all exes. I know they may have been my friends. Me and you have made amends, but if I'm serious about a person, I'm gonna let you know. I'm like, look, I'm in a new relationship. We
But
can't,
yeah, yeah.
that's how I roll. But not everybody's like me. So this is how he still has female friends, and I was okay with that to a certain degree. But then, like I said, it was like certain female friends he would try me with. It was like one person that we know together. He was like, "Oh, she says that she's just a friend, and nothing's ever happened between us, and she wants to come over with her grandkids and use my pool." And I'm like, no. Are you in a relationship with me or her? Like, I'm not trying, I'm trying to understand what does a relationship mean to you?
Right.
So it was like he wanted me to feel like small. He wanted me to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in a competition with other women, or what is it about me versus them? And I'm like, you can't do it, doesn't work. And that's the reason why our relationship would never have worked, because you can't do that with me. I'm not in competition with any other female. I look the way I look.
Yeah.
I'm not changing anything for anybody. I've never had a boob job, butt implants. You can't make me do anything to. I've had a boyfriend who was so crazy about my hair. My hair was so long. He was like, "Oh, your hair is so long." I shaved it off because you're not going to be. It's almost like with God. God don't like. He doesn't want you worshiping statues.
Yeah.
So
Don't idolize me for
you
my hair.
worshiping my
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, yeah. You
So
love
I shaved it
this
off.
hair? Oh, okay. So what do you love now?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you don't love me no more? You don't like me no more? Okay, cool.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was another narc as well. But this one right here, he just took the cake. I knew nothing about this world.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it. Like I said before, I thought narcissistic people were just people that were into themselves, when actually it's the opposite. They so hate themselves,
They're not into
but
their
they portray themselves in a light like they are so above you and everybody else. But
Mhm.
they're actually questioning their own themselves, their
Uh,
own motives. What
uh,
should I do? How should I be? And they mirror
they
your
mirror.
energy. So
Yeah.
everything that I like to do, all of a sudden he likes to
Like,
do.
yes, yes. They're fake.
Yes,
Fake,
so
fake.
fake.
Oh my God.
Because if it was genuine, if it was that you honestly love the beach, that you honestly love bookstores and you love jazz music, and then so when I asked you, hey, why don't we go do these things? And you're like, That means you're not really in
That's
love
not
with it like
your
I am.
interest. Yeah, that's not your interest. That's not who you are.
No.
But they can only fool a real one for so long.
Right.
You
And
know,
I feel like an idiot because you fooled me for a year and a half. I was like, what in the world? But you know what? I wanted to see the good in him.
that's what it is. You were trying to give it a true shot.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's what we're supposed to do. That's what humans are supposed to do. You find someone, you meet someone, you see the best in them, and you're supposed to, follow that. You're supposed to seek that. You're supposed to bring good out of them. But when you identify that this person is a narcissist, you got to change your plan.
Yes.
It might have been a year and a half, but hey, the mask slips and you took off running. Thank God it wasn't 10 years. Thank God it
Yes.
was 20 years. A year and a half is not that bad. It was a year and a half of some very necessary lessons.
Yes.
You know, he just made you a better woman. He made you a stronger woman, a more confident woman, a more wiser woman, because you were already that. You just needed someone to show you to never let anyone make you doubt yourself or overlook your worth or your value, and just to really put a stamp on that. You know what I mean? So he made you a rock, and I think that they have a job that they don't even know they have when they come into our life. You want to destroy me. You're aiming to destroy me, but you don't even know me. You don't even know that your attempts to destroy me is actually going to make me better, better, wiser, smarter. I'm going to love the heck out of myself more now because of you. And that's, to me, that's the beauty behind everything you just went through. Like, that was a year and a half that your life probably needed, right? Um, because the woman that I'm knowing after what you just went through sounds like a triumphant woman. Like, there's nothing that you cannot go through or get through or survive. That's you just battled a narcissist, defeated the narcissist, slayed the narcissist. You were defeating him before you even knew he was a narcissist. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm just like, girl, more power to you. More power to you, sis. You did that. You did that. Man, that is a real survivor's story, man. From love bombing to, they call it devaluation, but I call it the getting to know who they really are stage. Because while you're devaluing me, I'm really getting to know that you are really just a monster and that
Yeah.
I'm not the problem here. You're trying to devalue me, but the problem is you, because the value is not there in you. So technically, devaluation is when you start noticing something is wrong. You're trying to, put it together. So you went through the normal cycle of narcissistic abuse, but you came out an awoken empath. And I think that's incredible, because like I said, as much as it's intended to destroy us, that's typically not what happens. It's not, because um some of us are just not designed to be destroyed like that, and it's crazy because they're put into our lives during certain phases of our lives where we probably needed it. We probably
Yeah.
I needed you to show me this, because maybe parts of me was a little naive, or maybe parts of me had some limited beliefs that I needed to let go, because I really shouldn't have let you get me where you got me, but it was necessary, because obviously there were some things that I didn't know was real. Now I know that demons exist. Now I know that narcissists are real. Now I know that love bombing is real, so, and then more importantly, now I know red flags are really red flags for a reason. And I may never be that woman to ignore that again because of you. So there's so
Right.
many lessons. There's just so many lessons. And I'm just grateful to meet someone who survived it, has escaped it, and is strong enough to share their story, because it needs to be heard. It needs to be told. Like you said in the beginning of the interview, a lot of people think they're alone, because they do. They don't, they have no idea that what they're going through is abnormal until they encounter that word, they discover that term, or they hear a story like yours and they're like, oh, so I'm not crazy. And then that might give them the strength to walk away, because they need to. Nobody needs to stay
Right.
in these relationships. Nobody needs to feel obligated to help these people, because we can't help them. We
I
can't.
tell you one thing, when I felt alone in this, I was like, oh my goodness. I would sit at the lake, I'll sit there, I'll be praying, and I'm like, this is like so painful. I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world? Like, this is crazy. And I came across your face and I
What?
was like, who is this? And I started looking and I was like, I started liking all your videos. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is amazing. She's saying exactly
Oh my
what is happening to me. This. I was like, this
God.
was this made for
You
me?
see what
Was
I'm saying? Yeah.
yes, it was you.
If he had not put you in that mind space of feeling lonely, feeling like, God, what's happening in my life, you wouldn't have met me.
I
You
would
know,
never met you.